Good morning, everybody. Night, night, Emery. Yeah, so as you can see, I am not at my house and I'm not at church. I'm in Pittsburgh again. Yay! And my granddaughter just went down for her morning nap. Yeah. So, good morning, everybody. Yeah, we came out to Pittsburgh because we're going to the playoff game tonight. Yay! I can't wait. It's going to be cold. It's going to be really cold, but I'm all geared up for it. Got my warm jacket, my boots, my scarf, my hat. I am so excited to do that. Yeah. Good morning, girls. How are you? Thanks for coming in with us today. Look, I got my Steelers shirt on today. I am all ready for the game. Good morning. And Ava, I'm so glad you're here. Congratulations for being a big sister. I bet you're so excited. Your little brother's so cute. I saw a picture of him on Facebook. And Connor, you're a big cousin again. Yay! I'm so glad to see you guys. Or I wish I could see you guys, but thanks for joining me. So I'm going to show you something today and we'll get started. You guys know what this is? It's super glue. Have you ever used super glue before? I have. And you know what super glue does? It repairs things that are broken. Have you ever broken anything like a cup or a dish or a lamp? Ooh, you have to get your super glue out. Now I know my husband uses super glue when he gets a little cut on his finger and he'll put a little super glue on it. And you know what he did one time? He glued his fingers together. He's probably not happy that I'm telling this story, but he did. He put some on his fingers and it stuck and he couldn't get it off. It was pretty funny on my side. I don't think he thought it was really funny. But super glue is a cure-all for all things that are broken. If it's broken, just a little super glue can make almost anything new. It can heal a broken toy, a broken plate, a broken lamp. Hopefully, you don't have to use it too often. Yeah. Now, when we break something, it's important that we apologize. And we have to make that right. So if you break a lamp or you drop a cup or something, you do have to apologize. Now, maybe super glue isn't enough. Maybe you need to replace the thing that got broken. Or maybe you can do some work, maybe around the house, for someone to make up for that hurt or that loss that you've caused them. Now, making things right is just a part of saying you're sorry and showing we want to fix things. Now, it's not easy to say you're sorry. It's not easy to be humble and ask for forgiveness, but it is the right thing to do. You do need to say, I'm sorry, what can I do? Can I fix it? So you do have to make things right. Now, sometimes an apology is just not going to work it. So, but most of the time, if you do apologize, it does make things right. And it shows the person that we've hurt or we've broken that Jesus, that you love them just like Jesus has loved us. Now, I want you to do something. If you have broken something or done something wrong in the past week, I want you to apologize for it, okay? Just say you're sorry and really mean it. If you can, try to fix whatever it is. Maybe you can use some super glue. But if you use super glue, make sure an adult is working with you because you don't want to stick your fingers together, right? Now, today's story is about a Wonder Woman. Yeah, not the Wonder Woman in the movies, but a Wonder Woman in the Bible. And she was not afraid and she was not ashamed to say that she was sorry. And not for something that she did, but something that somebody close to her did. And her name is Abigail. And it's not a story that you've heard, probably not yet. In fact, when I started reading over the story, I thought, did I ever hear this story before? I'm not quite sure if I did or not. Maybe when I was little like you guys, but we haven't read this in our church or our Sunday school, and I really wasn't familiar with it. So she's not one of those big superheroes from the Bible, but this is a really good story. So I'm going to sit back because it's a little bit long. Sit back, relax, and listen to this story because I can bet that you didn't hear it before. Now this comes from our Bible. So I have our adventure Bible here with us, and it comes from 1 Samuel, and it's chapter 25. So remember, it's in the Old Testament because that's where you can find 1 Samuel. And it does have a superhero that we've heard of before. Remember David? You know, like David and Goliath and King David, same guy, okay? So he's a superhero, and we've heard of him, but not Abigail. So sit back, relax for a minute, and listen to what Abigail has done to make her a wonder woman. Now this is going to be chapter 25 in 1 Samuel, and I think in the email that I sent your parents, I was going to start on verse 14, but I want to go back a little bit so you get a little bit of the background of this story. So relax for a minute. It says a certain man in Maon was very wealthy. He owned property, and he owned it in Carmel. He had 1,000 goats, 3,000 sheep. He was clipping the wool off the sheep, and his name was Nabal. His wife's name was Abigail. So that's our Wonder Woman. She was wise and beautiful, but her husband was rude and mean, and in the way he treated others. He was from the family of Caleb. Now David was staying in the desert of Paran, where he was. He heard that Nabal was clipping wool off his sheep. So he sent 10 young men, and he said to them, "Go up to Nabal in Carmel and greet them. Greet them for me. Say to him, 'May you live a long time. May everything go well with you and your family, and may things go well with everything that belongs to you. I hear that you are clipping the wool off your sheep. When your shepherds were with us, we treated them well. The whole time they were at Carmel, nothing that belonged to them was stolen. Ask your own servants. They'll tell you, we've come to you now at a happy time of the year. Please be kind to my men. Please give me and my men anything you can find for us." So David's out camping with his army, and he was very nice and kind to Nabal's shepherds when they were out in the fields with David's men. So now David wants a favor from Nabal. He sent some men and he said, "Hey, we were nice to your guys. Can you be nice to us and send anything that you don't need? Because we're out here, we're camping, we need some things." So this is what happened. When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal the message from David, and they waited. Now Nabal answered David's servants, "Who is this David? Who is this son of Jesse? Many servants are running away from their masters these days. Why should I give away my bread and water? Why should I give away the meat I've prepared and who clipped the wool off my sheep? Why should I give food to the men who come from who knows where?" He wasn't very nice to David's men. So David's men turned around and went back. And when they arrived, they reported to David every word Nabal said. David said to his men, "Each of you put on your swords." So they did. David put his sword on too, and about 400 men came up with David. 200 men stayed behind with their supplies in the camp, but the rest of them went on. Now one of the servants warned Abigail, Nabal's wife. He said, "David sent some messengers from the desert to give his greetings to our master." But Nabal shouted at them, and he was rude to them. David's men had been very good to us. They treated us well. The whole time we were out in the fields, nothing was stolen. We were taking care of our sheep near them. During that time, they were like a wall around us night and day, and they kept us safe. Now think over, see what you can do. Horrible trouble will soon come to our master and his whole family. Such an evil man that no one can ever talk to him. So now, when the shepherds were out in the field, David's men surrounded them and they kept them safe. And now all David wants is some water, some food for his men. And Nabal is like, no way. I don't know you. Why should I help you? So the servant, knowing something's going to happen, runs to Abigail. And he says, your husband's being really mean and something bad is going to happen. So Abigail didn't waste any time. She got 200 loaves of bread and 2 bottles of wine. The bottles were made out of animal skins. She got 5 sheep that were ready to be cooked. She got a bushel of grain that had been cooked. She got 100 raisin cakes, and she got 200 cakes of pressed figs. She loaded all of it on the backs of donkeys. Then she told her servants, "Go on ahead, I'll follow you." But she didn't tell her husband Nabal about it. Abigail rode her donkey into the mountain valley. There she saw David and his men. They were coming down toward her. David had just said, "Everything we've done hasn't been worth a thing. I watched over this fellow's property in the desert. I made sure that none of it was stolen. But he has paid me back evil for good. I won't leave even one of his men alive until morning. If I do, may God punish me greatly." So David is really mad, and he intends to kill everybody in Nabal's family and all his servants. Now when Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey. She bowed down in front of David with her face toward the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "Pardon your servant, sir. Please let me speak to you. Listen to what I am saying. Let me take the blame myself. Please don't pay any attention to that evil man Nabal. His name means foolish person, and that's exactly what he is. He's always doing foolish things. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to see the men that you sent. Sir, the Lord has kept you from killing Nabal and his men. He has kept you from using your own hands to get even. So may what's about to happen to Nabal happen to all of your enemies. May it happen to everyone who wants to harm you. And may it happen just as surely as the Lord your God and you are alive. I've brought a gift for you. Give it to the men who follow you." So now she's apologizing for Nabal. She says, "I've brought you some food. This gift is the food and water and wine. Give it to all your men." She apologizes for her husband. And let's see what David says now. We're almost ready. We're almost done. "Please forgive me if I shouldn't have done that." Abigail is still apologizing. She says, "Please forgive me if I shouldn't have done that. The Lord your God will certainly give you and your family a kingdom that will last. That's because you fight the Lord's battles. You won't do anything wrong as long as you live. Someone may chase you and try to kill you, but the Lord your God will keep you safe and all your treasures hidden in a bag. He'll destroy your enemies." So she goes on just to apologize. And then David says, "Give praise to the Lord. He is the God of Israel. He has sent you to find me today. May the Lord bless you for what you have done. You have shown a lot of good sense. You have kept me from killing Nabal and his men this day. You have kept me from using my own hands to get even. If it's a good thing you came quickly, it is a good thing you came quickly to me. If you hadn't come, not one of Nabal's men would have been left alive by sunrise. And that's just as sure as the Lord, the God of Israel, is alive. He has kept me from harming you." And then David accepts her apology, accepts her gifts, and he says to her, "Go home in peace. I've heard your words. I'll do what you have asked." And then Abigail goes back to Nabal, and she doesn't tell him. But she doesn't tell him right away. But the next day, she sees him and she says, "Hey, David was coming to kill you guys, and I went and I gave them a gift of food and water and wine. Nabal gets really, really angry, and his anger consumes him. And eventually that anger kills him and he dies. You know what happens to Abigail at the end? Can you guess what happens to her? Hmm. Well, eventually David finds out that Nabal dies and that he comes and he gets Abigail and he marries her. Hmm. Pretty neat story. And I have to tell you that I don't remember as an adult ever reading this story. I might have read the story when I was little. So the point of this story is Abigail was a good woman. She's just married to a bad guy, right? He wasn't, Nabal was not very nice. And David was a leader of the mighty army, and he had helped Nabal's sheep and his shepherds. And what did Nabal do in return? Nothing. So Abigail was saying, okay, you know what? I need to apologize. I need to make things right. Not that she did anything wrong, but her husband did. So she went and she apologized and she fixed it. Now, she didn't fix it with super glue. She fixed it with her heart and her apologies and by giving gifts. And she was very humbled. And she said, please don't let anything bad happen because I just need to fix this. So she is just truly humble. And at the very end, she teaches a really good lesson that you just apologize. And a lot of times, an apology is so strong, stronger than super glue. Yep. And it really affected David that she would be so strong and so humble to come out and apologize for something she didn't even do. And he remembered that. So when he heard that Nabal had died, he went and he took Abigail as his own wife. Now, one thing that your parents have taught you when you were very, very young was to say, I'm sorry. Now, when we take a toy away from somebody that's not ours, we have to say, I'm sorry I did that. And when we break something, we say, I'm sorry. And when we hurt somebody's feelings, we say, I'm sorry. Sorry goes a long, long way to healing what is broken between people. Now, by taking action to repair that hurt or that damage, we show that we are really, truly sorry. Yep. Now, I was going to say, now, here we go. Let's, what I want you to do is find the paper that you should have printed off. I sent it to your parents yesterday. You should print it off. It's like a little game. It's a name game. And you cut off the bottom, and it had some words at the bottom. And so what we're going to do today, we're going to need your not super glue, but we need our glue stick. And we're going to work. I'm going to work together with you. And we're going to put together those words underneath our characters. So we have David, we have Abigail, and we have Nabal. So I'm going to hold up a word, and you tell me if it begins with David, if it should be under David, Abigail, or Nabal. Okay? So let's do the word beautiful. And if you have yours with you, work with me. Okay? And if not, just sit there and we'll do it together. You think about it. Who was beautiful in our story? Abigail, right? So I'm going to put the glue stick on our paper, and I'm going to put it underneath Abigail, just like that. Okay, let's pick another one. The word is wicked. Can you find your word wicked? Put some glue on it. Who is wicked in our story? Think about it. Nabal, right? I'm glad you said that. So we're going to glue it underneath Nabal. Let's do another one. Let's do hero. Find the word hero. Who was the hero in the story? It could be Abigail, couldn't it? We're going to put it under David. David was a hero because he listened to Abigail and he didn't cause a war. He didn't hurt anybody. So hero goes under David. Let's pick another one. Rude. Who was rude in our story? Nabal was, right? He was rude to David when he sent his men to say, hey, we helped you. Can you help us out now too? So rude goes under Nabal. How about famous? Who was famous in our story? David was, right? Because we've already heard stories of David. So he was the famous one in our story. So we're going to put famous under David. How about smart? Who was smart? Abigail was smart, wasn't she? Because she didn't want anything happening. So she ran to David with gifts and all that stuff. So she was the smart one. Oh, let's put another one on. Let's do put on sword. Who said put on your swords? That was David, remember? He told his men, put on your swords, we're going to war. So put on your swords goes underneath David. How about who was rich? Who was very, very rich? Nabal was, wasn't he? Remember, he had hundreds of goats or thousands of goats and thousands of sheep and lots of land. So he was rich. So we're going to put rich under Nabal. Our next words are bowed down. Who bowed down? Remember Abigail bowed down in our story when she first met David? Remember she put all the things on the donkey and she bowed down. So let's put bowed down under Abigail. Who was angry? Our next word is angry. Who was angry in our story? Well, Nabal was angry, but he was also rude. But David was very angry because remember, all he asked Nabal was for a few things. We helped you. Can you send some things you're not using right now? Some food, some water. And Nabal said no, and that made David very angry. So we're going to put angry under David. We have one more. Paid evil for good. Who did that? What does that mean? Paid evil for good. Yeah. That was Nabal. Nabal paid evil for good because he was an evil man and he wouldn't help David by doing good things. So that's what it's going to look like when you're all done. You're going to have your words underneath your characters from the story. Now my hands are sticky. Luckily, we didn't use the super glue or my fingers would be sticking together. Right? We don't want to do that. Okay. So remember, if there's someone that you hurt their feelings or if you broke something of theirs, a toy or something else that you might have broken, remember that an apology goes a long, long way. And just don't say, I'm sorry. That doesn't cut it. Make sure the sorry comes from your heart because that's what Jesus would have done. Jesus apologized. Yep. And he would be very happy when we have a sincere apology. Let's bow our heads and say a little prayer. Dear God, show us how to make things right with someone that we have hurt this week. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for giving us forgiveness when we need it. And in Jesus' name, all God's children said, amen, right? Amen. Now remember, this week, if you do something that you need to apologize for, do it. Apologize and really mean it, right? It goes a long, long way. So have a good week, everybody. Enjoy your week at school and playing. And hey, cheer for the Steelers. Say, go Steelers. Okay? Have a good week. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.